Namo Buddhaya. Welcome and welcome back to another video. Today, let's talk about how to have a better sleep and a healthy sleep. Now, sleep is something that we all struggled and we all have struggled in all of our lives, right? And there are many people in this world who struggle with sleeping. When they wake up in the morning, they feel miserable and tired even more. Okay? So there are a lot of problems with sleep. So in this video, I am going to share with you 3 tips that we monks practice in order to have a better sleep, all right? This is in our daily routine. So without any further ado, let's dive into the video. Tip number 1. The first thing that you have to do is to wind down for your bed, okay? That means sleep is something that we have to approach gradually and peacefully. It's like you're getting ready for an occasion, right? Now, for an occasion, maybe an interview or a meeting, what do? You get ready, right? You get your clothes done, you get your documents done, and you get ready for it. Same like that, sleep is an important occasion in our day. So what we have to do, we have to get ready for it, okay? So how can we get ready? So here are a few things that you can practice to wind down for your bed. The first thing that you have to do, this is not a problem because we don't have our dinner. We only have 2 meals per day, right? Some monks have 1 meal per day. Normally we have 2 meals per day, that is breakfast and lunch. We don't have the dinner, okay? So have a light meal for your dinner and eat at least 4 to 3 hours before the bed, before your sleep time. Now when you do this, your digestion is over and it is finished and it is at rest. Now you can go to the bed peacefully and drink enough water before you go to bed, okay? And also, this is something that many people do, right? Do not bring your mobile phone or laptop or any device that you're using to the bed, right? There are many people who use, right? There are thousands of people who use their mobile phone on their bed before sleep, okay? AM or 2 AM in the night, in the morning. Don't do that. So what do you have to do? Avoid as much as possible this screen time, blue light screen and everything, avoid them, okay? Because these screens and these lights stimulates our brain, okay? If you can be relaxed and listen to, so you have to wind down before sleep. And another thing that you can do is to have, you cannot have a cold shower, then have a lukewarm water shower, okay? Cleaning your body will help you to wind down and make your body feel relaxed, okay? Then even your mind feel peaceful, okay? So this is how we wind down for our bed. Tip number 2 is to practice the gratitude, right? Now we monks, when we go to the bed, right, we just sit on the bed and we close our eyes and think the people, and we recall all the people who have helped in our life, right? They may be your parents, they may be your relatives, your husband, your wife, your children, or there are certain things that we feel grateful for. So what do you have to do? Be grateful for them, right? Simply say thank you for all of them, right? Remember and recall all the people who have helped you in your way, in your life journey, and be thankful for them in your mind. That is something that we can do, because gratitude is a powerful emotion. If you generate it, you feel the happiness within your mind, and it will help you to have a peaceful sleep. So tip number 2 is to practice gratitude. And finally, as tip number 3, what you have to do is to recall a good deed that you have done earlier. This is something that I personally do every day before I'm going to bed. I recall all the good deeds that I have done during the day, good things that I have done during the day, and also I recall the good things that I have done in the past, okay? So it is always good to keep one good deed or few good deeds in your mind. I personally have 2 good deeds in my life. Among every other good deed, these 2 good deeds help me a lot to feel much more happy. They may be not big things, but you feel so much happy when you think that you have done it. Okay? It can be a little act of kindness, right? It can be giving some little food to an animal or a person that makes you feel happy. Before every time you go to bed, what you have to do is to recall all the good deeds, good things that you have done in the past. Now, when you do this, you will feel a very positive self-esteem in your mind, right? You feel that your life is worthy and you have done good deeds, right? You're a good person. Because there are many people, they go to bed regretting about their life. Okay? Remember, no matter how hard or tough your life becomes, there is always positive things in your life. There are always good things that you have done in your life. The only thing that we have to do is to recall them, right? The more we remember the good things that we have done, the more we become happy. That is one result of doing good things. So these are the few things that we can do to practice to have a better and a healthy sleep. So as a summary, what you have to do is, first thing, wind down, relax your mind before you go to bed. Number 2, practice gratitude. And finally, number 3, recall the good things that you have done in your day and in your life. If you do these things and if you practice these things, I can assure that you will have a peaceful and a healthy and a better sleep. So practice these things and have a peaceful night. In today's video, I'm going to share with you 4 signs that you're having a toxic friendship. Now, before we discuss about these things, I have to mention and I have to say that the sole purpose of this discussion is not to attack on someone's personal life, not to criticize someone or not to judge someone, but to understand that mistakes can happen from everyone. We make mistakes, we all make mistakes, but we have to be wise when we deal with people, because the most important thing in our life is the peacefulness in our mind and the mental health. So with that in your mind, let's dive into today's video. So the first sign of a toxic relationship is they are only willing to take something from you, but they are not willing to give anything, right? Remember, when it is a friendship or if it is a relationship, it must be a give and take process. That means when you give something, they must give something back. Okay? When relationships and friendships become a one-way road, it is very painful. That is why when you spot such a friend, the first thing that you have to do is do not be too quick to judge them. Because sometimes people are going through tough times in their life, right? Sometimes they are suffering personally. They're not in a good condition to help you. So what you have to do is, you have to look for the person behind the actions. You have to look for the intention behind their words. Okay? So if you really found such a sign in your friendship, what you have to do is set your boundaries. Okay? Limit your boundaries. And you have to decide whether I'm going to let this person to enter to my life or whether I'm not going to let him enter to my life. So keep that in your mind. That is the first sign. Then let's move to the second sign. The second sign is they only talk, but they are not willing to help you in actions. Okay? This is a friendship that is based only on words. Okay? They will praise you and they will be nice to you, right? They will say and they will give you promises to you, but only with the words, but not with actions. Remember, actions speak louder than words. So if it is a friendship, you must be a friend from your words as well as from your actions. Okay? That is the second sign. They only talk, but they are not willing to help you with actions. Moving on to the third sign, we have flattering friends. Flattering friends are the people who talk nice things about you in front of you. They will praise you, they will compliment you, but they are not afraid to put you down behind your back. Okay? You have to be very careful when you deal with such people. We should not hate anyone. We should not be angry with these people. What you have to do is you have to understand about the nature of people, nature of the intentions of the people, and forgive them, right? Forgive them and use your wisdom to stay away from their negativity. And that is the real meaning of kindness, to forgive someone and to stay away from people's negativity. So when you spot flattering friends, it's okay to be with them, it's okay to talk with them, but you have to be wise when you deal with such people. And finally, we have evil helpers. Evil helpers are the people who helps you in doing bad things. That means when you're about to do a bad thing, or when you're about to do a thing that is not good for your life and for your mental health, they will help you in doing it. Right? They will feel your anger, they will feel your jealousy. Okay? They will help you in doing bad things that brings the regret to your life. Right? So you should be very careful, and you should stay away from these people. So these are the 4 signs that you're having a toxic friendship. Now, why should we become so much aware of these friends and these signs? Because, do you know, our characters shaped by the people who we associate, right? There's a saying, it says, you are the average of 5 people that you are associating closely. That means we become who we associate. Therefore, surround yourself with positive people and the people who can uplift you and support you. And finally, remember that you deserve positive and healthy friendships that supports your life and your personal growth. Keep it in your mind. Have you ever wondered why some people are so good and so clever in what they're doing? Maybe there are some people who are studying with you, maybe some people who are in your workspace. There are some people who are very clever and very capable of doing in their profession. Okay, they are very successful in it. What is the reason behind this? What is the reason behind this success? Well, if we can define success in one word, the only word that we can find is consistency. This quality is very important for all of our lives. Not only in your day-to-day life, not only in your career, but also in your spiritual path. Okay? If someone is practicing spiritual path, consistency is the key for success. Okay? Now, what do you mean by consistency? Consistency means doing something every single day or without stopping for a long period of time until you get better at it. Now, if we look at our life, there are some bad habits we all have in our life. Okay? Why we are so good at these bad things? The reason behind why we are so good at bad things is we have done it for a long period of time every single day without stopping. That is the nature of our mind, and that is the nature of our life. Whether it is good or bad, if we are doing it consistently, or if we are doing it over and over for a long period of time, we get so good at it. That is why we are so good at distractions. That is why we are so good at anger, jealousy, and all these evil thoughts in our mind, because we have practiced it over a long period of time. Now, Buddha said, if you need to cultivate wholesome thoughts, and if you need to be successful in your spiritual life, what are you going to do? You have to cultivate and you have to practice these wholesome thoughts or wholesome activities for a long period of time without stopping. Okay? Every single day. Okay? Let's keep the spiritual life for a part. Let's take the studying and education. Now, if you're someone who is studying, and if you're someone who is focused on education, what do you have to do? You have to keep studying. Okay? Sometimes you find very difficult and very challenging to keep studying. Why? Because our mind gets distracted. Okay? Sometimes we lose our focus. Now, in that time, so many of of people, they complain that I cannot study. Okay, I'm distracting always. What is the reason? Why? What is the problem with me? Well, the only problem behind the failure or the unsuccessfulness is lack of consistency. Sometimes we try to study and then we feel tired and we feel less focused, and then we give up. Okay, and then after maybe like 2-3 days, again we try to study, and then again the same thing happen, and then we give up. Okay, in that way you're not going to be successful. Okay, if you want to be successful in any field of your life, maybe studying, maybe in your meditations, maybe in your spiritual life, maybe in kindness, maybe cultivating compassion in your life, what do you have to do? You have to be consistent. That is the only way to be successful in anything. I can still remember when we came to become monks. Okay, on the first day, our monks gave this first advice to us. That is, they said that it takes several minutes to become a monk physically. Okay, it takes a few minutes to make your body a monk, but it takes years and years, maybe lifetime, to be a monk from your mind. You will fail, you will be unsuccessful in some parts in your life, but you have to keep going. Do not ever quit. That is the first advice that we were given. So, to be good at anything, to be successful, to be happy, to be successful in your spiritual life, to practice meditations, to be good at that, what are you going to do? Keep doing it every single day. That is the thing. But there's a problem. The real problem or the real enemy for the consistency is the higher expectations. We set a lot of high expectations in our life, and when we are not able to get it, we give up. That is the only thing. Now, so many people come to me and complain that I cannot meditate for 1 hour. What is the problem with me? I cannot focus for 1 hour. Well, in the beginning, no one can do that. Okay, there may be some few lucky people in this world. Okay, they can concentrate instantly. But if you want to be good at in your meditations, in your focusing and your concentration power, what do you want to do? Keep doing it. Okay, do not set high expectations. Right? Aim for the little achievements. Maybe like you can focus and you can think like, before you are starting meditation, you can think, well, if my mind became concentrated or well focused only for 1 minute, that's okay. I'm happy with that 1 minute. Okay, when you focus on that, you can easily achieve it. You can do that. When you achieve it, you feel a sense of happiness in your life. You feel like you achieved that target. So in the next day, when you meditate, maybe you can focus your mind, or you can concentrate your mind for 2 minutes. Okay? So if you keep on focusing on little achievements and without having high expectations in your life in the first time, then you will be good at maintaining your consistency. Because sometimes when we don't see results, okay, when we don't get results quickly as we want, we just give up. That is the biggest problem in our minds. Okay, to be successful, you need to spend a period of time that you are not seeing the results. Okay, one day I was climbing, and in Sri Lanka we have a nice mountain where we climb to see the Buddha's footprint. Okay, that is called Adam's Peak, or the Sri Pada in Sri Lanka. So once we were climbing, we could not see the mountain top. We don't know where we are going. Okay, so one monk said to me, it doesn't matter, you cannot see where you are going, but if you're clear in your next step, take that step. Okay, and if you're in the correct path, no matter how fast or slow you go, you will go to your destination that you want to go. So always remember that it doesn't matter how fast or how slow you are moving towards success. The most important thing is that whether you are going to do it every single day in the correct way or not. So remember, consistency is the key for success for anything. So keep doing what you're doing, right? Keep doing the good works that you're doing, even if you don't see the results in your life. Keep doing it, and one day I'm very sure that you will achieve your goals definitely. So keep that in your mind. May you be happy and well. Welcome to yet another episode in Inner Guide Q&A program. Now it's been a long time that we haven't done a Q&A session. So today we are going to answer one of your questions. Someone has mentioned in the comments that it said that what to do when the life is becoming unfair, and what to do when life is not going in my way. Well, we are going to talk about this today. First of all, remember the nature of our life. What is the nature of our life? Life is a little bit unfair. That is the real nature. But the problem is we expect that everything in our life to be perfect and to be fair. That is the problem. That is where the real problem is. Because Buddha said, if you have expectations, if you have more and more expectations inside yourself, chances are very high for you to feel so stressed. So remember that expectations stands for suffering. If you expect the life to be fair, you will suffer, right? So the nature of our life is, it is a little bit unfair. So how to face such situations, how to face unfair situations in our life? Well, I want you to do 3 things when you face tough situations in your life, right? These are very simple, but yet when you practice it, it is very hard to do that, but you can achieve it. Number 1, first of all, you need to realize what the situation is. That is the first thing that you have to do. If you're going through a hard time, right, you need to analyze about that and see what the problem is. Well, there are 2 types of situations in our life. What is that? First type of situation is the situations which are in our control, experiences which can be changed by ourselves, right? And the second type of situation is the situations which are out of our control. We cannot do many things about that situation, right? So these are the 2 types of situations that we go through in our life. So first of all, you need to analyze and you need to see what the problem is, whether it is in my control or out of my control. Right? When you realize about the situation, then you can do something about that situation. Okay? That is the first thing you have to do. Analyze the situation. Number 2, if it is a situation that is in your control, just do something to change that situation. So what are the things that are in our control? What are the situations and experiences that we face in our life and which are in our control? Well, if you face a bad time, if you face a stressful situation because of your own faults, because of a mistake that is within yourself, then you can change it. Because we own our mistakes. We are the owners of our mistakes, and the mistakes can only be changed by ourselves. No one can change that. Someone can advise you, someone can show you the path, but no one can make it correct than you. So what you have to do, you have to change the situation. If it is your mistake, correct it. If it is your fault, then do something about it to change that situation. So these are the things that are in our control. Remember. Here's the third one. When we face the situations that are out of our control. How to face that situation? Well, these are the situations we spend most of our time trying to change that, but we cannot do anything about that situation. So what are the situations which are out of our control? There are many things, right? Criticism is out of your control. People's opinions, they are out of our control. How people behave in front of you is totally out of your control. They are their choices, not your own choice. But we try to change these situations and we become so sad and depressed trying to change, and we find that we cannot change this situation. So if you cannot change the situation, what you have to do? You have to change your perspective about the situation, right? You can change the perspective about the situation, because the perspective, the perspective and the way you see that about that situation is totally in your control. Because your thoughts are in your control, right? So what you need to do is, if you cannot change the situation, change the perspective, change the way you see about that situation. Okay? So remember, when people act weird in front of you, when people try to make you angry, when people criticize you, right? When people give unwanted opinions about you, just think, these things are out of my control. I should not waste my time of my life to change these situations. It is much better to change my perspective about this situation. So how can you change the situation? How can you change the perspective? You can be kind to them, right? You can maintain a positive mindset inside you, right? It is much better to maintain a positive mindset daily, every day, right? Listen to some things like positive things, positive words every day. It is much better to do that, because the more you listen to the positive words, positive ideas, right? Then the more you become positive inside, right? Then you can change your perspective about the situation. That is what you can do. Always remember what Buddha said. It is a nice quote that Buddha said that describes about the life. Buddha said, "Achinti tampi bhavati, chinti tampi vinasati." That is one of the greatest and one of the nicest quotes that Buddha have told about the life. In life, Buddha said, "Achinti tampi bhavati." Most of the times, unexpected things happen. Isn't that true? We don't know what will happen in the next time, right? It is a mystery. So in life, always unexpected things happen. And the things that we expected will going to be destroyed, right? If we expect something, we don't get the same thing. That is the thing. So remember that quote that was said by the Buddha. Achinti tampi bhavati, chinti tampi vinasati. Right? And there's another quote that was said by the Buddha. Sadharanang vihanyanti. If you expect the life to be fair, chances are more that for you to suffer in your life. So live with less expectations, right? If you're going through a tough situation, just analyze the situation, realize about the situation, and if you can change the situation, do something about it. If you cannot do something about the situation, change your perspective. That is what you can do when the life is not going in your way. So make your life a peaceful one with the teaching. Welcome to today's video. Today, this special video is entirely dedicated to those who are studying. Now, one of the most frequent questions that I get asked in the comment section is, Bhante, I'm studying and my mind is distracting all the time, and how to focus on studying. Well, today, let's discuss about this distracting mind. Okay, and also I'm going to share with you a few tips where you can practice in while you're studying to help to focus your mind on studying. So, without any further ado, let's get into these tips. Now, while you're studying, have you ever found yourself daydreaming? Right? Sometimes we sit down to study and we just turn our book on and we start to study, and after a few minutes, what happens to us? We just get distracted, right? We just start daydreaming. Trust me, when I was studying, when I was at home, right, before I became a monk, when I was studying, I used to daydream a lot. Okay, I used to get distracted a lot. So it is very difficult. I know it is very difficult and it's very hard to focus our mind to studies because we live in a world where there are many distractions. So what we can do about this distracting mind and how can we focus on our mind on our studies? Well, there are certain things that you can do. And one of them is, the first thing that I want to share with you today is that I would like you to write down what you become distracted. Okay? This is something that you get heard rarely. Okay? So let's say like this, you're studying, okay? And you turn over the book and you started studying. And sometimes the same thing happened. What is that? Daydreaming. Okay? It's okay. Let it happen. Okay? Once you know and once you identify that you are daydreaming, and once you found yourself that you are daydreaming, what do you have to do? I want you to take a pen or a pencil and take a blank paper and write down that thought that you became distracted. For an example, while you're studying, sometimes we used to think about foods a lot. Okay? So what do you have to do? Write it down. I got distracted about thinking about biryani. Okay? Something like that. Or sometimes we become distracted thinking about the past experiences, the things that happened in the past. Okay? So what do you have to do? Write it down. Jot it down on a paper. Now, why should we do this? Because most of the time, we are not aware of what we are thinking. When we become distracted and when we daydream, we don't know what is going in our mind. We don't know what we are thinking. We just jump into that stream of thoughts and we just flow down. So what do you have to do? When you write that thought in a piece of paper, right? It's like you're identifying that thought, right? You code that thought and you identify, okay, this is what makes me distracted. This is what makes me unfocused on studies. Okay? Then there's a physical thing that you can see, and you can see that it is physically that you are distracting. Okay? So what do you have to do? Write down your distracting thoughts. Okay? Then you have a good understanding. When you do this for a little while, what can you do is, and what can you find is, there's a pattern of distractions. That means we become distracted for few thoughts, and they are the thoughts that come again and again to our mind. So what do you have to do? Write it down. That is the first tip. Second tip, identify what makes you distracted and then be brave enough to remove all those distractions. There are triggers that makes us distracted. Let's say, for an example, our mobile phone. Okay? Let's say you're studying and there's the mobile phone on the desk. Each and every time it rings a notification, what do? We take our mobile phone and we check what it is. Okay? So a mobile phone is not distracting you. It is a trigger for your distraction. Trigger is just a trigger until you give the power to that to make you distracted. So what do you have to do? Physically, by force, sometimes it's very difficult, okay? You have to be brave enough to do that. Remove that distraction. If your mobile phone is distracting you, be brave enough to remove it, okay? If your laptop or your any technical device that is distracting you, be brave enough to remove it. And sometimes, right, sometimes we have to use this technology. Okay, sometimes you have to use your laptop to study. So what do you have to do? while you're doing it, be much more disciplined and much more aware of what you're thinking and what you're doing inside it. Okay? Use it only for what you want. Okay? While studying. I'm not saying that other times you can use it in whatever way you want, but use it only for what you want while studying. So the second tip is to be brave enough to remove the distractions. Okay? If something is distracting you, you have to remove it. Tip number 3, do not study for long hours continuously. I can still remember when I was studying and when I was at home, I can still remember I used to make these schedules and timetables to study for 2 or 3 hours continuously. You know, it is not productive. So what you can do? You can study for short time intervals. Maybe like, let's say 25 minutes. Okay, you can use 25 minutes to study, okay, and then take a little bit of a break and then again study. And while you're studying, what you have to do, you have to jot down and you have to write down all those distracting thoughts. Okay, keep that in your mind. So do not study for long hours. Just take a break and refresh yourself and then come back again to studies. That is another thing that you can do. And here comes the final tip, the tip number 4. It is the most important thing and the most awesome thing is to practice a little bit of meditation before every study session. Okay? Before every study session, let's say you studied for 25 minutes and you took an interval, then you came back to study. Now, while you are taking that break, sometimes you do certain things to make your mind busy even more. So what we have to do? We have to just settle down and make our mind to focus. To do that, you can use a little bit of meditation before every study session. Just sit down on your chair and just close your eyes. And the easiest thing that you can do is to watch this flow of breath, in breath and out breath. When you practice this calming meditations like breathing meditation, that is one of the easiest meditations that you can do. When you focus your mind on this in-breath and out-breath, it helps you to become calm and settle down. Then your mind will get ready to study. Okay? So these are the few things and few easy things that you can do and practice while studying. Okay? So use these things and use these tips to study and make your studies a more productive one. Question: do you know about the green-eyed monster? The green-eyed monster is nothing but the jealousy that arises within our hearts. So today, we're going to talk about how to deal with jealousy that arises within our minds. Jealousy is one of the most hardest experiences and emotions that we have to go through in our life. It is very hard to admit, and also it is very hard to remove from our hearts. So how can we deal with this jealousy? First of all, let's see why we feel jealousy. We often feel jealousy when we hear or when we see that someone is better than us. Someone is more capable than us. Someone is more smarter and genuine than us. Then we start to compare ourselves with that person and we start to feel jealousy. So, what is the reason for this jealousness? When we explore the emotion of jealousy, we can find the selfishness or the self-centeredness is deeply rooted within this jealousness. That is why we feel jealousy all the time. So selfishness means that if someone is thinking only about that person, and if he is thinking that he is the greatest person of all, so chances are very high for that person to feel jealousy on people who are better than that person. So, how can we deal with this? And how can we stop this jealousness? There are a few things that you can do, right? The first thing that you should do is to admit that you are jealous of that person. In most of the time, when we feel jealous, we refuse to admit that we are jealous of that person. We hide our emotions and we make excuses for our own evil emotions. So what you have to do is be humble and admit that I am jealous of that person. Okay? Then only you can identify the real emotion and real state of your mind. So first thing that you have to do is to admit that you are jealousy of that person. Second thing that you have to do is to realize that we all are different from one to another. For an example, there are 4 elements in this world. The water element, the earth element, air element, and the fire element. These are the 4 elements that prevails in this world. So if I ask from you, which one is the best element out of these 4? What is the answer of yours? You may say that we cannot compare these 4 elements because these elements are unique from one to another. They serve differently to this world, so we cannot compare. We cannot say which one is the better one. Same goes with our human lives. We are different from one to another. There are no same and identical people in this world. Even the identical twins are different from emotions and feelings. So that is why we should not compare ourselves with others, right? We all are different. And also you have to realize there is a person always in this world who is better than you, right? You can be the best in the world sometimes, but remember, there will be always a person who has the potential to beat you. Instead of competing with others in the society, let's try to compete with ourselves, right? Let's try to battle with ourselves and let's try to improve ourselves and bring the better version of ourselves daily, right? So that is what we have to do. Your competition should not be with the people who are around you, but your competition should be with the person who is inside yourself, right? Try to bring the better version of yourself every single day. When you're competing with yourself, there's no competition with others in the society, and you will never feel jealous on them, right? And also there's a special practice that our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, taught us to do whenever you feel jealousy. What is that? It is one of the most coolest practices in Buddhism. It is called mudita. The Pali word is called mudita. Mudita means the appreciative joyfulness, or in another word, the sympathetic joyfulness. When you practice mudita, you will have the ability to wish the well-being of the people around you. Whether he or she is better than you or lower than you, you can have the ability to wish the well-being and the development and the success of the people, right? These are the thoughts of mudita. So how can we practice these thoughts of mudita? There are a few simple things that you can do, right? Try this out every single day. Whenever you get up from the bed in the morning, right? Just don't rush into distractions quickly. Just sit on the bed. Close your eyes and wish the well-being and the development and the success of all the beings in this world equally, right? You can close your eyes and think, may all beings in this world be well and happy. May they be successful in their life. May they be developed with the successness. When you think and when you mean these emotions from your heart, you can develop the mudita within you. And when you're going to the society and when you see the people who are better than you, who are more capable than you, then automatically the thoughts of mudita will come to you and it will take control of your emotions, right? So never let that green-eyed monster or the jealousy to take control over your mind. Instead of that, let's practice the mudita and let's wish the well-being of the people, right? So be a big fan of watching people and being happy by seeing they are growing up in their life and by seeing they are becoming successful in their life. Because at the end of our life, we all have to leave this world and we take nothing from this world, right? So that is why we need to collect more good deeds and we need to practice more good emotions within our hearts, okay? So never be jealous at people, because there's nothing good that we can gain from by mere being jealous on other people, right? So practice mudita, appreciate and be happy by seeing the people growing up in their life. When you become happy by seeing the success of others, you can be happy about yourself also. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to yet another episode in Inner Guide Q&A program. Today, we are going to discuss about a question that has been mentioned in the comments. The question is how to remain peaceful and calm under stressful situations. Coming right up. Stressful and difficult situations are the situations that we all have faced in all of our lives. But many of us face these situations in an unsuccessful way. Under difficult circumstances, under stressful situations, we become depressed, sad, and anxious. So, how to remain calm and how to maintain your inner peace under these circumstances? So, first of all, we have to know and we have to learn and we have to observe what is the situation. Remember, there is a common nature in all the experiences and situations that we face in our life. What is this? What is that common nature? That is called the impermanence. Whatever we encounter and whatever we experience in our life, soon after that has been experienced, it becomes impermanent. Isn't that right? Yes, it is. Now imagine someone is complaining to you about a mistake that you have done or maybe you haven't done, right? So he's yelling at you, right? So in that moment, when the people complain and blame at us, we become depressed, we become sad. But what is the nature of that situation? What is the nature of those words, those rude words? Now soon after we hear them, they become impermanent, right? Soon after you hear them, they will no longer prevail in our life. They are gone. That means everything that we encounter in our life, experience in our life, they become impermanent. That is the nature. But the real problem is that our mind clings to those experiences, and there's a nature in our mind that it creates again and again those experiences inside. Now, for an example, as I mentioned before, when someone blames us, right? So now we know that soon after that we got the blame, the words are gone. They have become impermanent. But what our mind does, it creates those words again and again. We think those rude words again and again, and we become sad and depressed. But the real nature is, those words are gone. They have become impermanent. Right? So that is the nature. Understanding about the impermanence. Understanding that these experiences and all the things that we face in our life are impermanent is very important to face or to be calm in a difficult situation. Because you know the nature. That is the first step. We need to understand that each and everything that we face in our life is impermanent. Right? Whether you face a terrible time, it will become impermanent. It will be changed. There will be a good day. Whether you face a good time, a happy time, a wonderful time, that will also become impermanent. That is the nature. So first of all, you need to understand about this. The world is impermanent. Our life is impermanent. Nothing is permanent in this world, not even your problems. First step. And the second step, whenever you are in a difficult situation, whenever you are in a terrible moment, you need to practice some practices or to do something to remain peaceful and maintain your peacefulness and think of a solution to solve this problem. So how to do that? Now, many of us, during the difficult situations, we become panicked. We freak out. So it is the best thing to do during a difficult situation is to do some practices to calm our mind. So what we can do to make our minds calm? The best thing that you can do to make your mind calm and peaceful is do some meditation. Right? Do a little bit of a meditation during that stressful situation. So how to do that? The easiest meditation that you can practice within a stressful situation is to contemplate on your breath. Now, breath is an amazing thing. It changes according to the situation. Isn't that right? So when we are in a terrible moment, right? When we are in a dangerous moment, what is the nature of our breathing pattern? It becomes fast and it becomes shorter. We take short and fast breathing patterns, right? So what is the nature of our breathing pattern? That when we go to sleep, what do we do normally? I think most of you have experienced this. When you go to bed and when you lie down, you take a deep breath in and let it go. That is a sign that your body shows that you are going to rest. So if you need to become peaceful and serene and tranquilized, you need to restructure your breath. So in a difficult and terrible and stressful situation, just take deep breaths in. You can do it. Breathe in deeply and let it go. And contemplate on the pattern of your breathing. Now you can do this, but this needs a little bit of a practice. Right? You cannot do it without a practice. First of all, you need to practice this. Now some people may question, now I cannot do this in a difficult situation. Yes, you cannot do it because you don't have that practice. First of all, you need to practice this contemplation and this practice where there is no stressful situations. Right? That is the thing. The nature of these practices is that if you do it whenever there is no problem, then it will help you to practice that way or the situation or that remedy during a stressful situation. There's a great saying that it says, if you sweat during the times of peace, you will bleed less during the times of war. That means if you practice during the times of peaceful situations and where there is no stressful situations, it will help, that practice will help you to face the difficult situations. So, practice at least 5 minutes a day to contemplate on your breath. Right? You can feel the way that you are breathing. Right? It will help you to tranquilize your mind. Supreme Buddha said, Vitakku paccedaya anapana sati bhavetappa. If you need to stop the chattering mind, if you need to stop the thoughts that are popping up all the time that inside your mind, just practice the anapanasati, or which we call the breathing meditation. Just contemplate on the breathing meditation. When you contemplate your mind on this breathing pattern, right, you're focusing your mind to inhale and to the exhale. That means your mind jumps from one thought to another, but there is only two thoughts: inhale and exhale. You're not thinking about anything else. Right? That means you reduced thousands and millions of thoughts to two thoughts. So that is a big thing. So if you do it as a practice, you will feel that your mind will become more and more peaceful and tranquilized. So whenever you face a difficult and stressful situation, try to take deep breaths, few deep breaths in and let them go. And it will make you feel better. Right? So if you need to face a difficult situation, if you need to face a stressful situation successfully, you have to be ready for that situation where there is no stress. So that is how you face the difficult situations without being distracted. And also, as an extra thing, you have to practice the love and kindness. And also, you have to practice the forgiveness. If you can practice these great qualities like compassion, love, and kindness, especially forgiveness, you can maintain your peacefulness. Because when you forgive people, as an example, when you forgive people, that means you are letting go of them, right? The more you forgive, the more you will feel the peacefulness within. But forgiveness does not mean that you are going to fall into the same trap again and again for them. You forgive for yourself, and you know that person, and you can stay away from them in a positive way, and you can still be kind to them. Because kindness and forgiveness starts within your heart, and it will help you always. So practice these practices in the times where there are no stress and disturbing situations. And one day, when you master them, one day you can maintain your peacefulness within yourself without being distracted. Now, one of our viewers have asked a question from us, that what is true love according to the Buddhism? Well, when we talk about the topic love, remember, as humans, as beings in this world, we all seek love and affection in our life, right? All living beings needs love to live. So when we talk about the topic love, it is a vast and a broad topic, right? Love can be found in many ways. But the basic and the base for all these kinds of love is the kindness and the compassion. But most oftenly, people may misunderstand the love and the attachment. Right? When we come to the topic of love between the partners, the male and females, boys and girls, many of the boys and girls, they doesn't know what is true love and what is attachment. Now there is a distinct difference between true love and attachment. So what is that difference? Well, when someone loves another person, he will say, I need you to be happy by being with me, right? In the other hand, if someone being attached to some person, he will always say that, why are you not making me happy? Right? So there is a big difference between these two expressions. When someone loves another person, he will say, I need you to be happy by being with me. That means you are trying to give something to someone. Right? You always try to give the happiness to a person. But if you are being attached to someone, right? If you are developing lustful ideas towards someone, your mind will say, why are you not making me happy? You need to make me happy. So that is based on the selfishness, right? The true love is based on unselfishness, right? In the true love, there are many things, many good assets. They are the love, kindness, compassion, patience. These are the basic qualities that leads to the true love, right? If you are loving someone, you need to be kind to that person. You need to be compassionate to that person. You need to feel the sadness of those people. Now, when we talk about the topic compassion, compassion means to suffer with other people. That means if you can feel the pain that is hidden inside the people's life, if you can feel and become empathy, you can feel the empathetic feeling about them, then that is called compassion. If you can share the pain that is in another person with you, then that is compassion. So in true love, you need to have that sharing ability. And also, you need to have the kindness. You need to always wish the well-being of that person. Right? You need always to wish the good of that person. That is how you love truly. Our great teacher Supreme Buddha gave a wonderful explanation for the love. Supreme Buddha said, Mata yatan yang puttang ayusa eka putta manurakhe. As a mother who loves her only child, you should spread that same love to every person in this world. So when we talk about mother's love, parents, they does not expect anything from us. Instead, they love us. Now, when we were small, right, we were doing so many terrible things to our parents, right? Have you seen that the babies do so many terrible things to their parents, right? They drag from their hair, they pinch them, they cry, they yell, but yet the parents still love their children. So when someone is truly loving someone, it's like they're holding them firmly and they're nurturing them, right? But if you are attached to a person, you always expect the things from others, right? You always expect the things that fulfill your desires, right? When someone is attached and when someone is being lustful for someone, that means he's always expecting to fulfill every fulfillment and desire from that person. You're not trying to give something, always you are trying to get something from that person, right? It's like you're holding on to something tightly, right? Suppose you are drawing a cow or a bull. You are holding that cow or a bull from a rope. So when that animal tries to escape, what you are doing is you are holding it tightly, right? The more you hold it tightly, you are the one who is getting hurt. Right? You are the one who is getting hurt. If you can let go, what will happen? You are not getting hurt anymore. So when you are being attached to a person, you will always get hurt. And you will never fulfill your desires, because desires and sensual desires, they never get fulfilled. We cannot make ourselves satisfied from those things. Okay? So that is what you call the attachment. In attachment, you hold on to things tightly. There is a great quote that describes about love. If you like a flower, right? If you like a flower, you will pluck that flower. But if you love a flower, you will water the plant, that flower plant. So if you love someone, what you have to do, you have to say that I need you to be happy with me. Right? I always wish the happiness of your life. If that happiness includes me, that is better. But if it is not, in that case also, I need you to be happy. That is how you love truly. And that is the difference between the true love and the attachment. Right? In true love, you don't expect anything from the person, but still you try to give the happiness to them. In attachment, you always expect the things from people, and still you will never be satisfied from them. So choose to love the people correctly. If you choose to love people correctly, then you will be a peaceful person throughout your life.